Just to give people a bit of a background before we talk about your music videos, tell people about your DJ career and your long-running club night that you and your collaborators started in Toronto.
Yeah, I've been throwing a party in Toronto called Yes Yes Y'all for about 9 years now. It's a hip hop, dancehall, R&B party that we started to essentially make more space for queer POC in Toronto, and it's sort of grown into a really big kind of.
Everybody knows about Yes Yes Y'all.
Yeah. It's kind of grown into, like sort of a self-promoting machine at this point. Yeah.
And are you still doing as much DJ work, or?
I've been consciously not, only because I've just been so busy with my film stuff that it's literally down to like 3 or 4 gigs a month, which
That's still kind of a lot.
Yeah.
When did you first pick up a camera and realize that was the look for you?
The first time I picked up a camera was probably when I was a kid. My dad's an artist.
Okay.
And so I was kind of always around art, visual art, music. And he gave me my first 35 millimeter camera. And then in high school, I sort of had sort of unfocused creativity that
do tell.
Sort of manifested in, not the best ways. And so I had this art teacher in high school who kind of saw potential in me and really encouraged me to start photography for real. And actually, he was the one that got me into music videos. I obviously had been watching music videos. I was like obsessed with much music as a kid.
Yeah.
And so he encouraged me to start making music videos in high school. Yeah.
And then from high school, when did it turn into a professional career?
After high school, I was born and raised in Vancouver and had a master plan to leave Vancouver right away whenever I could. So I moved to Toronto, went to Ryerson for photography.
Yeah.
With the intention of taking what I learned in photography and applying it to sort of a movie and image.
Right.
And so after university, I interned for a summer at a production company that repped sort of my music video idols at the time. And then sort of just lucked out that way and kind of...
The ball kept going.
Yeah.
You're sort of the king of gifts, and you showed some of them in the presentation. Tell us about that and the joys of making it and some of the work that you've done recently.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I don't proclaim myself as the king
Who
of
does?
gifts. Little Black Book, this UK advertising publication called me that last year, which is cool.
We like
but,
that.
But yeah, I'm really into really short format loops right now and sort of how they apply to our sort of ever shortening attention spans.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I find it really hard to watch a music video from start to finish. Like that, for example, I was like, what the fuck? But I can watch a video loop for 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us about some work that you did that was shown at Coachella, for example.
Yeah, I just finished a job last month with Cardi B. So we did both her shows. She had 2 shows on both weekends, and yeah, it was cool. It was a really intense project that really evolved and grew up until the day before the performance.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was an interesting project. It was a lot of fun, but very different to music videos and commercials. Yeah.
The Hanky Code video, I love that. I saw it in Toronto, and I was so glad that you...
Thanks.
Tell us about the conception behind that. A lot of people don't know that's a secret language that was used especially in the 70s amongst gay men.
Totally.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was part of a project I did with a collective in Toronto called RT Collective. They sort of fund different types of film works in the city and in Canada, actually. And so this specific project A handful of artists were commissioned to go to the Canadian Lesbian and Gay Archives, which is, I think, the biggest lesbian and gay archives in the world, if not North America.
I'm not totally sure, but
It's something
huge
like that.
And very resourceful.
Some really cool stuff in there. And so we got to go in the archives, pick out an object that would sort of inspire a film. And so I was looking for underground party culture, youth culture from the past, and stumbled upon this flyer from the Barn, which was sort of this iconic institution in Toronto back in the day. And they had a fetish night. On the back of the flyer, they had this whole hanky code. And what's cool about the hanky code is that, as you mentioned, it started, I guess, in the 70s.
Like
it actually
60s,
apparently started earlier than that. Like in my research, it started even earlier than that, like back in like, is it the cowboy days or something? I don't know. Like, but basically, it was like a lot of men traveling to remote parts of the States, and in bars. When it came to slow dancing, there was always someone that had to lead and someone that was led.
Okay.
And so apparently the guys had different scarves around their necks that would dictate whether they lead the dance or they're going to be led. Okay. Apparently. And so much like any sort of spoken language, I guess it sort of evolved, and based on like geography, different places kind of adapted the code. And so that was sort of based on Toronto's hanky code, which doesn't really differ that much, but there are, from place to place, they kind of get more intricate.
More complex.
Yeah.
What color is your hanky, and in what pocket are you wearing it?
I will say orange right side.
We'll have to do our research.
I'll have to do some research, yeah.
You also did something really great with us a few years ago in Toronto, the Color by Icons project.
Oh, yeah.
Where we had 25 Toronto artists all color in one of the icons, and you did.
Willy Ninja.
And you also made Willy Ninja come to life.
Yeah. I kind of took the opportunity to sort of bring my video and GIF work into it. So I colored with video as opposed to color. Yeah, awesome. Which is awesome. And Willy Ninja is like an idol to me.
We love him.
Bow down. Yeah,
yes, definitely. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the selection of videos that we saw tonight.
I kind of just wanted to make a selection of sort of the broad type of work I do. So it wasn't chronological. The first video you did see was actually my first video I ever did for Fritz Helder and the Phantoms.
So good.
Thanks. Yeah, it's I see it kind of like, obviously it's inspired by those old CK ads. Yeah. But it's definitely, when I watch it back, it feels like a yearbook in a way that, like, they were all friends. We were all in a certain scene at that one moment in time.
Toronto.
And so it's kind of cool. It's a nice retrospective watching that back. Yeah. And then everything else kind of, the stuff towards the end is more of my recent work.
But you work with a very diverse group of artists, like many different bands, the New Pornographers, and so on. Where do you sort of get the creative process? Like, how do you get an idea to make a video, a song come to life?
It really depends from song to song. A lot of times, a band or artist might have sort of an initial brief to kind of work around. Other times, it's like kind of carte blanche, do whatever you want. Right. But I've always found music inspiring. Whenever I need to sort of turn on the creativity, I know exactly the type of music to listen to kind of like get those creative juices flowing. Right. Yeah.
How does your queer perspective come into play when creating these videos?
I think it's like just a sensibility I have. Like even in my buddy's video, Kita Juma's video, which is like a housey rap track, but I definitely tried to sort of inject little bits of queerness into it, and then on the other side of things, like the metric video, for example, which is sort of an adaptation of like the archetype of the hero's journey, but in the context of like the whole Vogue house kind of thing. So I'm always trying to find different ways, whether it's like sort of a narrative thing or like a stylistic thing.
I love that one. I forget the artist, but with the mask that I made here.
You made that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ray Pila. That's a band from Mexico. Yeah.
What have been some of the highlights? I mean, obviously travel with making music videos, working with artists. Tell us about some of the other highlights.
I mean, a lot of stuff, especially with music videos, it's a very collaborative thing. And so just getting to meet sort of like-minded people and creative thinkers. You kind of feed off that energy. So,
Is there any bands or artists in particular that have been like super special or memorable that you really liked working with?
I mean, it's always really fun to work with people that fully trust you and are down to kind of try things out. And so Dragonette, I love working with Dragonette. They're always down to kind of get a bit weird. Hannah Georges, Michael Calfin, this French house producer. I'm now going to be doing a third project with him in 3 months. So it's like there's definitely a handful of cool people, and then definitely a handful of people that I would not work with again. But
You're like, once was enough.
Yeah.
Who would be sort of your dream client?
I would love to do a full video for Cardi. I think her and I have like obviously similar reference points, and then obviously, I mean, the 16-year-old me would be like Massive Attack, Bjork, PJ Harvey, like all the people that I listened to back in the day that I still listen to now.
Who would you say is, I know you mentioned some of your influences before we were on camera. Who are some of your music video influences as well as just aesthetic influences?
Music video stuff like Jonas Åkerlund, Floria Sigismondi.
She's a Toronto girl.
Toronto, yeah. She's actually, I saw an interview with her when I was 15 years old on the New Music that, I don't know if you remember that show.
Amazing show, yeah.
Yeah, it was like sort of like these like really important pieces of programming for me at least. And it was an interview with her right after she directed Dead Man Walking by David Bowie. And I just remember being like, who is this person? And that was the first time, like consciously being like, that's what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah. So her, and then a bunch of photographers like Ben Watts, Nick Knight, Rankin. It's kind of like a bit of this, a bit of that. Yeah. A lot of visual, like kind of like illustrators, Keith Haring, Basquiat. A little bit of everything, you know.
Being a Canadian artist in general can be really difficult. Tell us some of the biggest challenges you've faced being based in Canada and how you remedy that.
It's one of those things where I don't know about artists and working in different mediums, but the joke with music videos is that you kind of have to make it big outside of Canada before
in every art field.
It's kind of fucked up, but and also funding. I mean, a lot of these videos that you saw were funded by MuchFact. That was sort of this music video grant that had been around for, I don't know, like since the early 80s, I think. And a lot of Canadian artists from anywhere from like the indie artists to sort of the Metrics or the Dragonettes, like sort of the bigger Canadian bands, all relied on this one piece of funding, and it's now gone.
It's completely.
It's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gone, and so it's making it really tough for artists of all calibers to kind of get music videos done. Music video budgets have been the budgets have gotten minuscule now.
Right.
All my mentors say that I got into the game 10 years too late.
Oy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that's definitely just the resources available in Canada. Yeah.
But you have work outside of Canada as well, and you've got representation outside of Canada.
Yeah, I mean, most of my work comes from my reps in the States and the UK right now. Yeah, so I'm lucky in that respect for sure. Yeah.
And obviously this helps with the creative sort of side of things, but you have other commercial gigs that obviously help pay the bills. So tell us about some of your commercial work.
Yeah, I mean, music videos are sort of a passion thing. Yeah. I love sort of how creative you can get with music videos, whereas commercials that I've started breaking into recently, it's sort of a different game. Less creativity, but more money.
More coins.
And so I mean it's a trade-off, but I just finished a Pringles chip campaign.
I love Pringles chips.
Yeah, in the UK, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like I mean, it's
crisps,
a Pringles.
Sorry, in the UK.
Yeah, crisps. It's a commercial for a chip company, but the concept of it was basically taking Yes, Yes, Y'all, the party I throw in Toronto, and sort of recreating it in a giant Pringles can. So it can be fun.
Yeah.
But
Maybe you said something about the duck walk. What did?
Yeah, there was like, and it kind of touches on your thing about like being able to like the queer sensibility
Right.
in even in a commercial brand. So in the commercial, there's a Voguer with like those stupid Pringles duck lips, duck walking around like anti-gravity kind of around the can. So that's cool. And then there's jobs like I just did a job in Barcelona a couple weeks ago for like an activewear company, European activewear company, which killed my soul. Like there is like, so I mean, the things we do for money, right?
So in this day and age, what you were talking about, that you came into the game 10 years too late as far as making videos, what would be then your advice to young up and comers that want to break into the business?
Do it. I mean, don't do it for the money. Like,
because you ain't gonna.
You're not, yeah. But like, do it if you're passionate about it and you want to make art and like collaborate. Do it. I think we're in such a time where you don't really need an expensive camera or a big budget. A couple of those videos, I think the budgets were like minuscule, like $3,000 or something. This is a lot of cool shit you can do with limited resources. I think it's just a matter about being creative with execution and sort of assembling a team that can kind of execute an idea. Right. Yeah.
Tell us what else is coming up for you. What you can talk, because I know there's some stuff we talked about you can't say yet.
I mean, I guess I haven't booked it yet. I'm bidding on a job with Shaka Khan right now, which I'm hoping I book. Yeah.
Shaka Khan.
Yeah, which could be really cool.
Could be so cool.
And then a couple music videos this month. And then going back to Barcelona to do the next Pringles thing.
Bring that Pringles
money. Yeah,
Bring that Pringles money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Toronto. I mean, we're approaching summer, we're approaching Pride. What are some of your favorite things, club nights, happenings, art shows, galleries in Toronto? What about Toronto still keeps you interested in staying there? The island.
The island, yeah, I love the island. Yeah, the island's great. I mean,
sorry, you were just there recently.
I was just doing an artist residency on Toronto Island in April, and yeah, it's a magical place. It's like 50 minutes outside of the city, but you feel like you're 2 hours away. So definitely the island. There's a nice vibe there. Bar wise, I think. I mean, there's Pride coming up, but there's a lot of cool little parties kind of popping up right now, and it's what's cool about it is that they're not gay or straight. It's sort of this like very queer mixed crowd thing with music you don't always hear out, like a lot of like kind of global sound, bass stuff that just feels fresh, you know? Right. Yeah.
What are your favorite things visiting Montreal?
Seeing friends. I haven't been here in a couple of years, so it's nice to kind of reconnect with some friends. I don't know the city too well. I know like Mile End and Little Italy pretty well, but I love the city though, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
I was hoping for some sun, but yeah.
Not today, but
Not
hopefully
today.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and
Thanks for
showing
having
your work.
me. Yeah, thank you so much.